In this video, we are forecasting several significant severe weather threats across the U.S. The Storm Prediction Center has issued outlooks for today, tomorrow, Saturday, and they're even highlighting a rare Day 5 enhanced risk on Monday. Not to mention, there are also Day 6 and 7 risks for severe weather as well. All that and more coming right up. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. Yesterday was pretty active with a total of 31 hail reports across the southeast. The largest stone measured in at 2 inches in Lake Mary, Florida, and there were many other reports of 1 inch in diameter or greater hail. Flash flooding was also a major issue through Alabama and the Birmingham area. There were 8 water rescues throughout the city, and Birmingham saw close to 3 inches of rain in under 24 hours. If you want to keep up with this stuff even when I don't post videos, you know we have a weather blog now. Carly and our new weather analysts update that more often than I post videos, and it's based off of what I show you here. So without further ado, let's get into this video. We have a lot to talk about. All right, starting off talking about today, we do have a big slight risk of severe weather from Oklahoma all the way down into southern portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. Main threat seems to be big hail today, especially around the Red River near Texas and Oklahoma. If you want to keep up with the date and time, it's always going to be above my head there in Eastern time. Let's zoom in to the risk area and let's push her forward. Here we are at 5 p.m. today. Not a lot going on out there, but in this area, a lot of warm air and moist air is advecting to the north, getting primed and ready for some cooler, drier air to force it up into the atmosphere and create some big old thunder boomers. There they are. Let's zoom in here once again around 7 p.m. We do expect some storms to pop up here around Dallas, all the way up through Ardmore, Oklahoma, maybe even reaching all the way up into Oklahoma City. Some of these will be strong. Once again, big hails possible, and potentially a few of them may rotate enough to cause an isolated tornado. This is going to go linear pretty quick, especially once we get into the midnight time frame. Tulsa over into northeastern Texas, you guys are going to get some strong storms, but it's not really going to be that big of a deal. What's causing the initialization of storms today is this feature. Once again, look at this moist air, 60-degree dew points making it all the way up into Dallas, and then right next to that we have 30-degree dew points and even lower dew points the further west you go. Along this boundary, once again, that's where our storms are going to fire up. But also something else to note here is back here in this portion of Texas, we have an extreme risk for wildfires today. These are only issued whenever we expect 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds and less than 10% relative humidity. So as that dry air infiltrates, we are going to see, once again, a big fire threat today. So make sure you're prepared for that. Texas is just going to be an active place. Now, after we're done focusing on the storms over there in Texas and Oklahoma, our focus does shift down here into Louisiana, especially early in the morning tomorrow. We do expect a strong line of storms with maybe even some embedded supercells to pop up down here and produce, once again, very strong winds and potentially some tornadoes. All right, and that takes us into the Day 2 threat, which actually features one of the biggest 2% risk areas for tornadoes that I've ever seen. Everybody in the green here has a 2% risk of tornadoes tomorrow per the SPC. Let's talk about why that is. First of all, you can see our low pressure center over here really promoting that warm sector to try to go as far north as it possibly can. A lot of that dry air is infiltrating on the underside, and it's also bringing in the cold air as well. The main threat early in the day is going to be down here in the south, okay? I'm most concerned about these potential supercells that are going to pop up down here south of the main line. If we look at the significant tornado parameter on the HRRR, you can see that we have some really increased values spreading out from New Orleans all the way up to Hattiesburg, Mississippi around 8, 9, 10 a.m. Once again, this is the area that I'm most concerned about because that lower level jet is going to be screaming and the storms could actually form in supercellular modes, which could once again lead to them naders. Okay, so once again, early morning naders possible down here. Get your coffee ready. Even where you don't get tornadoes, you are going to see very strong winds and heavy rain all the way up through Alabama into the panhandle of Florida as well. And then look at this, around 2 or 3 p.m. we got to come back up here where we have another increased area of tornadic activity, possibly around 3 p.m. in the mid-Mississippi River Valley. Okay, look at this. That low pressure center is spinning up, punching in some even colder air against some leftover warm air here and producing, once again, maybe potential supercells as we go into the evening tomorrow, and I do believe, once again, that some of these could be tornadic in nature. This is just something we have to keep an eye on. Stay weather aware. This is part of spring, right? Every day we need to be weather aware, no matter what the SPC says or what the future radar says or anything like that. Although there is a slightly elevated tornado risk here, I think the biggest threat's going to be wind and hail. And speaking of hailstones, I gotta thank the sponsor of today's video, Manscaped, the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Manscaped offers the best tools in the business when it comes to the three big odor zones: your body, your hind end, and your hailstones. I've been using the all-in-one Performance Package 4.0 exclusively, and buddy, let me tell you, I'm a believer. My favorite tool is the Lawnmower 4.0 that comes with a cordless charging system, ceramic blades, and a daggone headlight. Go to manscaped.com for free international shipping, 20% off, plus 2 free gifts when you use the code HALL at checkout. Your hailstones will thank you, okay? Now let's get back into the video. All right, now let's look even further into the future. We do have a slight risk of severe weather already for Saturday. Way over here on the East Coast, you can see this trough that's causing our problems is going to kind of advance over to the east and to the northeast. The good news is that it kind of flattens out a little bit, but there's certainly going to be enough lift over here for big time thunderstorms to pop up, especially if there's a lack of cloud cover. This is one of those kind of days. On Saturday, if you're in the slight risk and the sun's out early in the day, do expect big storms to pop up as we get later into the afternoon. Look at all that cape that's causing our problems over the next several days. It's going to culminate over here on the East Coast. And once again, this is convective available potential energy. If that potential is unlocked, big storms are going to happen. Now, the tornado threat, I don't think is going to be huge over here. We're once again talking about a straight line damaging wind thing and possibly some big hail. This is going to be kind of like a gust front and downburst driven event, okay? Not really rotating supercells. If we take a look at the instantaneous flash rate, you can see that those storms are going to want to pop up more than likely between 2 and 4 p.m. on Saturday, and then they will be out of our hair more than likely by the time the sun goes down. All right, now we're going to start talking about the thing most of you are probably here for. It does look like early next week we're going to have a very significant severe weather outbreak starting off on Monday here, where we do have a very rare 30% risk area from the Storm Prediction Center. The very next day we have a 15% risk, and then we also have a day 7 15% risk all the way down here into portions of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. Why are we so confident in this even though it's like a week away? And why is it so very concerning? Well, let me introduce you to this little bad boy right here. This is another bowling ball of a trough coming through. This is a blue blob. Let me just introduce you to the blob here before we start getting into the nitty gritty. There you go. This guy right here is going to cause a lot of trouble. Once again, looking at the 500 millibar wind speed here, this is one of the most, supportive mid-level wind patterns you will ever see for severe weather. I think that if this was April or May when we were seeing this, we would probably see multiple moderate or high risk severe weather events out of this. I'm not kidding. The fact that it's March might be our saving grace, but don't let your guard down because the kinematics are there for a big severe weather event. What we don't know exactly is how are the thermodynamics going to set up? What are those convective allowing models going to show us once we get closer? The mesoscale, the tiny little details make all the difference in situations like this. But I'm telling you, this trough right here is exactly what you don't want to see if you don't want to see severe weather. Especially on Monday there, you can see that we actually have a negative tilt to the trough. Anytime the bottom of the trough tilts to the south and east, that is indicative of a negative tilt. Also, the negative tilt increases lift and vorticity in front of it. So it's never good when we see this right here. Now, the good news is once we get past Monday and we get into Tuesday, this very quickly takes a big positive tilt as it goes through the rest of the country. Now, don't get me wrong, this is still going to cause big problems, but I certainly think right now the most concerning day out of this stretch of severe weather is going to be right here on Monday in Texas, possibly maybe even all the way up into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana as well. Let's go closer to the surface and look at those 850 millibar winds. Once again, nadir juice here, potentially 70 to 80 knots of lower level jet right here stacked on top of the increased flow from our 500 millibar level. Literally, without even looking any further into it, you can tell that we have veering wind and increasing wind speeds with height, which is just the perfect recipe for nadirs out there. So once again, I am am concerned about this. However, I'm also hopeful. All weather models are garbage, okay? Most of them are wrong. That's why a lot of you guys believe that most weather people are wrong. However, a couple of the weather models and some of the stuff that we look at, you know, it's at least a little bit useful. That's why we're even talking about this right now. Let's hope that we're looking at very misrepresented and just wrong data, because if this is right, once again, I do think we're going to have a widespread and potentially, you know, a very bad severe weather outbreak happen there. And once again, that's going to carry into Tuesday as well. And then, of course, Wednesday and possibly even Thursday, once again, with another East Coast severe risk as we get into March 24th. Okay, today's March 17th. So we're talking about nonstop severe weather threats from now until then. So guys, there's going to be a lot of video updates from me. There might be some days where I post a video and then also do a live stream. There's certainly going to be some days where I do the, you know, the classic 11, 12 hour long live coverage of severe weather, especially next week if everything comes together in the way that we think that it will. This stretch of severe weather, this kind of stuff is the reason I do what I do. This is what we've been preparing for all year long. So please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and spread the word. Let everybody know what we're going to be doing here to try to inform the masses of what could potentially be coming, okay? Help me out. Hey, huge shout out to our members over here. You guys are the best. Look out for a brand new video from me tomorrow morning, and then once again, I do think there's a potential for a live stream tomorrow evening. And then, of course, I'm going to have daily updates after that until all of this mess is out of our hair. Remember, check out the weather blog and follow me on Twitter. There's a million places you can get info from me, guys, not just here on YouTube. But of course, tomorrow on YouTube, I will be here. I'll see you then, okay? Goodbye. Ooh.